When my mother turned 72, something changed. The woman who once danced in the kitchen, who never missed her morning walk, who remembered every birthday and anniversary in the family, began to slow down. Her steps grew cautious, her laughter a little less frequent. The most worrying thing, her memory, sharp and vibrant, began to blur around the edges. Names escaped her. She repeated stories, and slowly, like so many other seniors, she began to withdraw. Doctors ran tests. The usual suspects showed up. Elevated blood pressure, creeping blood sugar, signs of early cognitive decline. Nothing alarming enough for medication, but enough to dim her light. My siblings and I were heartbroken and scared. Then one afternoon, as I prepared lunch for her, I opened her fridge and noticed something odd. An overflow of sugary tropical fruits, ripe mangoes, jackfruit, durian, baskets of citrus, including grapefruit, her favorite. I remembered reading somewhere that grapefruit could interact with heart medications, and that certain high-sugar fruits weren't always senior-friendly. That moment sparked a journey that would change everything. I dove deep into nutritional research. I read, questioned, asked experts. What I found stunned me. While fruits are celebrated as nature's candy, and rightly so, not all fruits are created equal, especially for seniors. For those of us caring for aging parents or for older adults trying to live longer, stronger, more vibrant lives, the fruit choices we make matter more than we think. So I began an experiment. I removed the risky fruits. I replaced them with 4 simple ones. And I watched, week by week, as my mother came back to life. Her energy returned, her digestion improved, and her mind, sharper, steadier, and more joyful. This is our story, and it could be yours too. In the chapters that follow, I'll take you through the 4 fruits every senior should be eating and 4 fruits they should consider avoiding or limiting. Each chapter will unfold through personal storytelling, backed by science, and filled with simple, compassionate guidance you can follow starting today. Because food isn't just fuel. For the elderly, it's often medicine. And sometimes, healing begins with something as simple as what's sitting in our fruit bowl. Chapter 1. The Hidden Power of Berries. She didn't expect to cry over a handful of blueberries. It was just another Tuesday morning, the sun slicing through the curtains like always. But as Mrs. Evelyn Tran sat quietly at her small wooden kitchen table, carefully pressing spoonfuls of Greek yogurt into a glass bowl, she reached for the berries, blueberries, raspberries, and strawberries, and paused. They reminded her of her husband. He used to joke that berries were tiny warriors, fighting off the age that kept creeping up on them. Every morning, he'd pour them onto her breakfast with a grin. "Eat your antioxidants," he'd say, winking like a teenager. That was before his memory started to fade, before he forgot where he kept his slippers, then their daughter's name, and eventually her. She learned the hard way what oxidative stress could do, not just to the body, but to the brain. That's when she began learning everything she could about fruits, especially berries. Berries aren't just sweet, colorful decorations in your bowl. They are some of the most powerful allies for people over 60. Blueberries, for instance, are packed with anthocyanins, compounds that help improve memory, fight inflammation, and protect neurons from damage. Studies have shown that regular consumption of blueberries may delay cognitive aging by up to 2.5 years. That's not just science, that's time with your loved ones, time with your memories. Raspberries and strawberries join the fight too. Rich in vitamin C, manganese, and fiber, they don't just help your brain, they help your heart. They reduce blood pressure, calm inflammation, and ease digestion. For seniors who often face multiple chronic conditions, berries offer a rare, natural protection. The best part? They're gentle on the blood sugar. Unlike sweeter fruits that spike glucose levels, berries are low on the glycemic index. For seniors managing diabetes or prediabetes, that makes them not just safe, but smart. So Mrs. Tran still eats her bowl of yogurt and berries every morning. It's no longer just about breakfast. It's about remembrance. It's about prevention. It's about choosing to fight back with something as simple and beautiful as a berry. Chapter 2. Why Bananas Are a Gentle Daily Ally. The morning her legs gave out in the garden was the moment Mrs. Lamb began to fear something was truly wrong. She had always been active, the kind of woman who walked everywhere, carried her own groceries, even trimmed her own hedges well into her 70s. But that morning, as she bent to check on her orchids, a strange wave of weakness surged through her thighs. Her balance wobbled. She sat down hard, heart racing, not from panic, but from something deeper, a body quietly losing its strength. Later that day, her doctor mentioned the word potassium. It wasn't the kind of word that sounded urgent. It didn't echo like heart attack or stroke, but it was the word that explained why her muscles didn't respond like they used to, why her blood pressure had started acting like a stubborn child, high one week, low the next. And the most surprising prescription? A banana a day. Bananas, simple as they seem, are an essential fruit for older adults, especially after age 60. Each golden crescent is rich in potassium, a mineral that plays a quiet but powerful role in the body. It helps regulate heart rhythm, supports muscle function, and balances the fluid levels that affect blood pressure. Most seniors, without even realizing it, don't get enough. But it's not just potassium. Bananas are also high in fiber, especially pectin, which improves digestion and helps control cholesterol. For aging stomachs that are more sensitive and slower to process food, the gentle texture and natural fiber of bananas offer a kind of comfort few other fruits can. They soothe the gut, ease the bowel, make mornings a little smoother. And perhaps most importantly, they're convenient. No knife required, no mess, no fuss. For seniors living alone or dealing with arthritis, a banana is a friend you don't have to wrestle with. Mrs. Lamb started keeping 2 bananas on her counter, one for today, one for tomorrow. And with that simple act, her energy returned. Slowly but surely. Her legs steadied, her pressure readings normalized, and maybe just as valuable, her confidence came back. It wasn't magic. It was a quiet daily decision to support her body with something natural, nourishing, and kind. A banana isn't just a fruit. For seniors, it's strength wrapped in yellow. Chapter 3. Apples, the everyday heart helper. It was a habit Mr. Duong picked up from his late wife. Every afternoon around 3 p.m., she would place 2 cups of green tea and a crisp red apple on the balcony table. They'd sit, share small talk, and split the apple in silence, skin and all. When she passed away, that apple stayed not as a memory, but as a ritual. At first, he didn't realize what it was doing for him. The habit was emotional, not logical. But over time, something strange happened. While many of his friends complained about rising cholesterol, heavy chests, and dizzy spells, Mr. Duong kept getting clean bills of health. His doctor smiled once and said, "Whatever you're doing, don't stop." Turns out, it was the apple. Apples are rich in soluble fiber, especially a type called pectin, which binds to cholesterol in the digestive system and helps flush it out. This gentle fruit becomes a silent protector of the heart, lowering bad LDL cholesterol and supporting healthier blood vessels over time. But the magic of apples doesn't stop there. They're packed with quercetin, a powerful antioxidant flavonoid that reduces inflammation, supports blood vessel elasticity, and has even shown benefits in preventing age cognitive decline. For older adults, this is gold. Add to that their low glycemic load, and apples become a smart choice for seniors managing diabetes or blood sugar imbalances. Their natural sweetness doesn't spike insulin the way processed snacks do, and their crunch encourages saliva flow, helping with oral health, a quiet battle many older people struggle with privately. Mr. Duong now has a drawer in the fridge just for apples. Fuji, Gala, sometimes green when he wants a sharper bite. It's not just nostalgia anymore, it's nourishment. He still pours 2 cups of tea and still cuts the apple in half. Not because he needs to, but because some habits heal the heart in more ways than one. Chapter 4. There was something comforting about the way Mrs. Tun peeled a papaya. Slow, careful strokes, almost ceremonial, like she wasn't just slicing fruit, but carving space for healing. At 72, digestion wasn't as effortless as it used to be. Meals that once felt nourishing now left her feeling heavy, bloated, tired. Doctors gave her pills. Friends gave her teas. But it was her granddaughter who gave her the answer, unintentionally. "Bye, no guy, try this," the little girl beamed, handing her a spoonful of bright orange papaya. That night, Mrs. Tan slept easier. The day after, she felt lighter. Within a week, the discomfort began to fade. She smiled to herself and said, "So simple." It wasn't magic, it was papain, a natural enzyme found in ripe papaya. This enzyme helps break down protein, making it easier for older digestive systems to process heavy foods like meat and dairy. For seniors, whose stomach acid and enzyme production often decline with age, papaya becomes more than a fruit, it becomes gentle support, a way to help the body do what it once did without effort. And that's not all. Papaya is also rich in vitamin C and beta-carotene, both of which help reduce inflammation, strengthen the immune system, and support eye health, an area many older adults worry about as vision starts to fade. Its soft texture makes it easy to chew, its mild sweetness is soothing, not overwhelming, and its color, a joyful burst in the middle of any quiet day. Now, every morning, Mrs. Ten begins her breakfast with 3 slices of ripe papaya and a quiet moment on her porch. She calls it her sunrise medicine. It doesn't come in a bottle, but it heals her just the same. Chapter 5. Durian, the dangerous delight to watch out for. It had been years since Uncle Hai had last eaten durian. He used to love it, the rich aroma, the creamy texture, the indulgent sweetness that felt like a tropical dessert designed by nature. But at 68, after a minor heart attack and a growing list of medications, he knew he had to be more careful. That didn't stop the cravings. One summer afternoon, his niece brought home a fresh durian from the market. "Just a little, Uncle," she smiled, placing it on the kitchen table. The temptation was too much. He ate a large portion, more than he meant to. That night his heart raced. He felt flushed, heavy, and dizzy. By morning his blood pressure had spiked. His doctor later explained why. Durian isn't just rich in flavor, it's extremely high in saturated fats and natural sugars. For seniors, especially those dealing with diabetes, heart disease, or obesity, it can quietly create internal chaos. Its richness places a heavy burden on digestion, and its dense sugar load can cause rapid blood sugar spikes, putting older adults at risk of hyperglycemia or even triggering complications if they're already insulin resistant. Worse, durian's natural compounds can interact with alcohol or certain medications, leading to potentially dangerous blood pressure fluctuations and metabolic stress. "People think because it's fruit it's safe," Uncle Hai's doctor said gently, "but not all fruits are created equal, especially after 60. It wasn't about giving up what he loved entirely. It was about understanding that some pleasures, once harmless, require caution with age. Now when Uncle Hai walks past a durian stall at the market, he still breathes in that unmistakable scent. But he remembers how it made him feel, and how much better he feels without it. He doesn't forbid it, he respects it, and that, perhaps, is wisdom. Chapter 6. Jackfruit, the sweet trap in every bite. Mrs. N, 72, stood barefoot on the cool tiles of her kitchen, peeling the thick golden pods of a freshly cut jackfruit. The sweet scent filled the room, just like it had when her children were young and running around her feet, waiting eagerly for a handful. Now, her grandchildren sat at the table, eyes bright as they reached for the sticky yellow fruit. She smiled but hesitated. Her doctor's warning from last week echoed in her mind. "Your blood sugar levels are too high, Chi. You need to watch what fruits you're eating, especially jackfruit." It was hard to believe. Jackfruit had always been seen as a nourishing food in her family. But for seniors like her, the truth was more complicated. Jackfruit is packed with natural sugars, and while it also contains some fiber and nutrients, its glycemic load is high, especially when ripe and eaten in large portions. For elderly individuals with prediabetes, type 2 diabetes, or heart issues, jackfruit can cause dangerous blood sugar fluctuations. Even more concerning is that its sweetness is deceptive. Because it's natural, many seniors think it's safe to eat freely, but a few pieces can easily exceed daily sugar recommendations for someone over 65. Mrs. Ann recalled the times she felt tired, dizzy, or flushed after enjoying jackfruit, moments she dismissed as normal aging. Now she saw the link. Still, she didn't want to abandon a fruit tied to so many memories. So she made a quiet decision. No more big jackfruit feasts, just 1 or 2 pieces now and then on full stomachs, and only after checking her blood sugar. She would teach her grandchildren the same wisdom, that tradition and health can walk together hand in hand if we listen carefully to what our bodies need. Jackfruit was no longer the enemy. It was a sweet trap she'd learned to respect. And that respect, she knew, might help her live long enough to watch those grandchildren grow. Chapter 7. Ripe Mangoes When Sweet Turns Risky. Mr. Vin sat quietly on the veranda of his countryside home, the afternoon sun glinting off the golden mango slices on his plate. It was a familiar scene. His wife had just prepared his favorite fruit, ripe, fragrant, and so sweet it almost melted in his mouth. He had always loved mangoes. To him, they weren't just food, they were memories of summer, of laughter, of youth. But as he brought a slice to his lips, his hand paused mid-air. He remembered his doctor's voice during his last visit. "On, Big, your blood sugar levels are unstable again. Have you been eating mangoes lately?" He had, and not just one. Ripe mangoes, while rich in vitamin C and beta-carotene, are also high in natural sugar, especially when fully ripened. For seniors like Mr. Bin, with slower metabolisms and increased insulin resistance, those sugars enter the bloodstream quickly, causing spikes that can lead to fatigue, dizziness, and long-term damage if not carefully managed. The mango wasn't bad, but for him, it had become too much of a good thing. He looked at the slices again. The temptation was real, and so was the risk. That day, Mr. Bin chose something different. He ate half of what he normally would. Then, he took a walk, he drank water, and later, he checked his glucose. The numbers were better, and he felt better, not just physically, but emotionally, because in that small decision, he found control again. He found the balance between the joy of his past and the wisdom of his present. And as he looked out across the rice fields behind his home, he thought, if I'm careful today, maybe I'll still be here to enjoy mango season next year too. Chapter 8. Grapefruit, the fruit that clashes with medicine. Mrs. Lon always believed in eating clean, natural food. She took pride in her morning routine, a glass of warm water, a walk through the garden, and a beautiful half of a grapefruit with breakfast. Its tartness awakened her taste buds, and in her mind, it was the perfect way to start a healthy day. But one morning, things changed. She had started a new medication 2 weeks earlier, something her doctor prescribed to regulate her cholesterol. And while she took the pills diligently, her body didn't respond the way it should have. Instead of improving, her energy faded, her heart raced unexpectedly, and she felt dizzy for no reason. Puzzled, she returned to the clinic. The doctor, flipping through her records, paused. "Are you eating grapefruit regularly?" Mrs. Land nodded, surprised by the question. "Every morning, for years." The doctor sighed gently and explained, "Grapefruit can interfere with the way your liver processes this medication. It's not just incompatible, it can be dangerous. The enzymes in grapefruit, specifically furanocoumarins, can block a key metabolic pathway in the liver. For seniors, like Mrs. Lan, who often take multiple medications, from blood pressure pills to cholesterol regulators, grapefruit can amplify the drug's effect to unsafe levels or render it ineffective altogether." That morning, Mrs. Lan pushed her grapefruit aside and replaced it with a slice of papaya instead. It wasn't just a small dietary change. It was an act of care, a quiet decision to listen more closely to her aging body and to respect the relationship between food and medicine. And it saved her life. Conclusion: the wisdom in every bite. Aging isn't a burden, it's a journey, one that deserves grace, attention, and the right fuel. In this story, we've walked through 4 fruits to embrace and 4 to approach with care, not because food is the enemy, but because after 60, every bite matters more than ever before. Berries for memory, bananas for muscles, apples for the heart, papaya for gentle digestion. These are not just fruits, they are quiet allies. And on the other side, Durian, jackfruit, ripe mango, grapefruit, fruits rich in nostalgia and flavor, but also in risks when not consumed with mindfulness. The goal is never to live in fear of food. The goal is to live with awareness, to listen to your body, and to honor the years you've earned with every conscious choice. If this story has touched your heart, helped you reflect, or simply reminded you to look at your plate a little more kindly, then it's already done its job. And if you're still holding that piece of fruit in your hand, wondering, is this the right choice for me? That question alone means you're on the right path. Here's to your health. Here's to more mornings. Here's to the quiet power of wisdom and the fruit it bears. Thank you for joining me. Until the next story, take care, eat well, and live long.